Hello and welcome to Azril. Today we'll be talking about the Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman has gone through a few numerous changes going from live into alpha. This is the alpha build of February 18th, 2016. Shamans now use a new resource called Maelstrom. Maelstrom is generated through Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt generates 10 Maelstrom. Lava Burst also generates Maelstrom. It generates 16. Has an 8-second cooldown though. Hits a bit harder than Lightning Bolt, but it is a guaranteed crit as long as that Flame Shock is on that target. Flame Shock, however, 0 to 20 Maelstrom cost. For each additional Maelstrom is duration. As you can see, you get 20 seconds if you use it at 20 Maelstrom. Essentially that is 1 extra second per Maelstrom spent, so using it at 20 gives you 35 seconds duration. Then you have Earthshock, requires at least 10 Maelstrom, but it can consume up to 100. Again, this is a flat percentage increase, so using it at 99, using it at 100 is a percentage in there. It is what it is. There are a few things I could mention. There are some moments where you might want to use 100 Maelstrom on an Earthshock inside trinkets and stuff like that, but at the same time you can actually waste Maelstrom, so there are a few suggestions I have for this. But essentially you'll be using Maelstrom on Earthshock around 90 onwards. Frost Shock. Crowd control can consume Maelstrom for more damage. There is a talent that makes Frost Shock a part of your rotation, so don't find this is an unnecessary mechanic for Frost Shock. You have a few other abilities that cost Maelstrom and require Maelstrom, and synergize with Maelstrom. As you can see, Healing Surge is one of them. Chain Lightning also produces Maelstrom per target hit. Earthquake Totem requires 40 Maelstrom to be cast. Same for Purge. Let's get into the artifact. The Fist of Ra Den. Make sure Lava Bursts have a chance, unknown percentage, to make your next 3 Lightning Bolts overload 2 additional times. Overload, you ask? As you can see, the mastery is back. Elemental Overloads, which makes your Lightning Bolt, Elemental Blast, Chain Lightning, or Lava Burst trigger second spell to deal 75% normal damage and generate 75% Maelstrom additionally. And as well, they cause no threat. The first trait, Stormkeeper. 1 minute cooldown makes your next 3 Lightning Bolts and Chain Lightning deal 200% more damage. Wait a minute, straight off the bat, that's synergy right there. Fist of Ra Den, Stormkeeper. Should always use those together. Next 3 Lightning Bolts you cast will be overloads, and those overloads will also benefit from the 200% increased damage. But it's 2 additional overloads, so more synergy than a standard proc from a Fist of Ra Den. Let's get into the talents. Earthen Rage. Why did I take Earthen Rage? Earthen Rage looks very boring. It's very passive. And because of that, is why it pulled ahead of its alternatives. Path of Flame looked more like an AoE ability to me, more of a cleave ability. Yeah, 10% Lava Burst is nice and all, but that's not really what you're casting most of the time as an Elemental Shaman now. Lava Burst is more of that go-to button, and I'll show you why later on. Totem Mastery, however, I felt like this was a very hard choice, but I crunched some numbers on this, and I don't usually do that for these alpha videos, but it was such a hard choice because I feel like these talents, they have so many factors and variables, like either one could work out to be the best. It's all based on the final tuning, set bonuses, legendaries, artifact, trait passives. Like, there is so much going on to make either one of these talents the superior. But as it is now, Earthen Rage is the way to go. These obviously do not matter for this test, but this is what I personally take if I was an Elemental Shaman. The 60 roll, I took Elemental Blast. Now Elemental Blast hits about 2.5 times a lava burst. As you can see, lava burst tooltip is 16k. The elemental blast is hitting on 40. It also gives you 500 rating. At my level, which is level 100, that is 5%. But elemental blast can overload, giving you 2 buffs, 2 separate buffs, which is great. Ancestral swiftness, flat 10% haste and attack speed. Didn't really feel like ancestral swiftness was the dominant, but again, like I said, so many variables based on encounter, based on many things. It could be better than elemental blast. Not disputing that whatsoever. However, echo of the elements I didn't really see, no matter what, it being the superior. Like I said, lava burst is more of that go-to, more of that spread AoE, and again I'll get more into that as we get to the end of the talents. So I feel like echoed elements wasn't a single target talent, but then again, like I said, so many variables, maybe one day it could be. Contradicted to that though, elemental fusion is the default winner in this role. It gives you a 10% increased chance on lava surge. Lava surge is your flame shock makes your lava burst reset the cooldown and be an instant cast. Primal Elementalist, however, was a bit misleading. I felt like maybe it's bugged or they just haven't updated the tooltip. Pets are not 80% more powerful, if anything they're 80% less powerful. The base form of pets hit for about 20k as a fire elemental, 5-ish k, 8k as a storm elemental, which is the next row, which replaces fire elemental. So fire elemental was the clear winner in terms of single target damage. But when I spec'd Primal Ellie, he wasn't hitting not even half, he was hitting about 4 or 5k. But he was AoEing, which got me thinking, is Primal Elementalist a cleave talent, an AoE talent? Or maybe is Primal Elementalist broken? Obviously only time will tell, so I was unable to take Primal Elementalist, which is very sad. However, Magnitude to me was straight away an AoE talent. The damage Magnitude does is very negligible, it's about 500-600. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but when you have like 8-10 mobs, that's a lot of damage per mob, constantly ticking. It's like, it's a nice layer of additional AoE, but that's pretty much it. However, Lightning Rod. I played around with Lightning Rod for a while. It used to be an on use, now it's been turned into a passive. And I've been using it quite often, but it doesn't seem to be proccing. And it could be broken. It could be that maybe they're just playing around with it internally, or they're trying to see what direction to go with Lightning Rod, but as of the moment it does not work, so I don't know how good it is. But if it was working, I personally maybe would have just took this instead of what I've taken Aftershock. Again, the same issue with Storm Elemental, it's not tuned properly, so it's very hard for me to say Storm Ellie is the way to go. But this role seems to be quite good, so it could be either one of the 3 talents. Aftershock, however, had more synergy with how the spec and fantasy is playing right now, through the Maelstrom system, getting that Maelstrom back, spending more shots. Sad to see though, Ascendant seems to have turned into an AoE cooldown. 3 minutes to have no cooldown on Lava Burst, and Chain Lightning becomes Lava Beam. Now, if you were trying to do a single target rotation where casting lightning bolts through the Stormkeeper and the Lava Burst synergy, you don't need no cooldown on Lava Burst to do that. All you need to do is just get your Lava Burst to trigger that elemental overload for the lightning bolts, which actually happens quite often. I've had back-to-back procs, 3 or 4 in a row, and so it kind of like makes Ascendants have no value. And very bad RNG, I probably casted about 3, maybe 4 Lava Bursts, and to me that doesn't sound like value on a 3-minute cooldown. But then again, if Ascendant was a minute cooldown, I wouldn't be having this discussion with you. Ice Fury, however, was a nice filler. This makes Frost Shock deal so much damage. Very, very nice. High on demand damage. Nice filler for single. Short cooldown, and it also generates Maelstrom. The synergy is there. It does lack a few synergy in traits in the artifact tree, but obviously traits in the artifact tree is a bit too early. I don't usually talk about those in these alpha videos, but if you'd like a discussion about traits for Elemental Shaman, I could do another video on that. But as for now, as it is, it's a nice talent. It works, it is what it is. Hopefully there's some more synergy with it later on, or this is just going to be a starting talent at the start of the expansion. Liquid Magma, however, again seems to be another AoE talent. So I'm not so sure about the 100 roll. It's kind of like the most lackluster roll of them all. So hopefully they do something about this 100 roll and make Liquid Magma either single or Ascendant single. Allow Ice Fury to be on demand damage for other things. But as it is what it is. Liquid Magma is not the way to go. But Ice Fury will be. So we'll start the rotation off. So you're going to want to precast your Elemental Blast, open with your Fire Ellie, do your Flame Shock, do your Lava Burst, hope for that proc, I got it, power the Maelstrom and my Elemental Focus. I'm then going to be casting my Lightning Bolts, fit in that Elemental Blast, and then it's going to squeeze in that last, and then do the instant. Now I just generated another power the Maelstrom. I'm going to do my Earth Shock so I don't overload and overcap, because overcapping is a bit of an issue for Shamans, and I'll get into that in a moment as to why that's the case. Look how fast I just got to Maelstrom cap. Now I've not really had time to fit in my Ice Fury. Now I will show you what Ice Fury is about. Ice Fury, it will generate me Maelstrom and it will make me spam shocks which hit very hard. This is actually very nice for target switching or on demand damage, which is kind of cool. Now I've triggered my power of the Maelstrom. Now I need to be getting ready for my next Stormkeeper. So I'm going to do that. Let's get ready, and then there we go. Lucky enough to proc it. Now I'm going to fit in an Elemental Blast. Hopefully it gives me something good. Yeah, it was crit. Fair enough, crit. Not what I was really going for. I was hoping for more than just crit. You know, an overload would be nice. And then, as you saw, I ignored my instant Lava Burst. Now, why did I do that? Why did I ignore my instant Lava Burst? Well, if I Lava Bursted, which is still nice, free instant Lava Burst, I have a chance to override my power of the Maelstrom. I would have wasted my stacks. So there could be a key point where maybe wasting one stack wouldn't be a problem if you can, you know, clip it at the end of the duration if you're behind or something, you know, maybe use the instant Lava Burst as a fool too. But then I also thought to myself, hey, you play with Elemental Fusion, so you're kind of making that scenario for yourself. Maybe when they fix up these two talents for a more single orientation, maybe it won't happen so often. As well as the limit, the capping on the Maelstrom. That does also have an effect from Aftershock. Yes, fair enough. I do have more Maelstrom because of this. But that's not the point I'm getting at. I want to have more than 100 cap. Or they could make Earthshock 0 to 90. So that way you're not forced to use your maximum, because the overload can occur, and it can occur very often. As you can see, I have 40 something % mastery in like rubbish gear, like green haste gear. Like it's hardly any mastery. Look how much rating. It's 1000 rating, and compare that to everything else, the percentage is crazy. So the mastery percent is very lucrative. You get a flat 20 for free. So that's currently the only issue I have with Ellie, is maybe they could give some trait in the artifact tree instead of some rubbish passive. There's loads of those in every spec. You know, give you 130 Maelstrom, or just make it baseline 130 Maelstrom, 150 Maelstrom, whatever. It doesn't really make a difference. You just want to have that extra buffer, something to work with, something. Let's say you're at 90. I do a lightning bolt, it's going to get me to 100 because it generates 10, but I overload, I lose that 7. So that's currently the only issue I really see with the Maelstrom system. I think Elemental Shamans are very solid, probably one of the most solid specs in the whole of this alpha. I think Ellies are a very, very good place right now. Only a few nicks and changes to be done, but that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, please do subscribe. If you have any feedback, please do say in the comment section below. I will be doing more than just alpha previews. I do have the artifact coming up in the beta and a beta version of each spec, hopefully with set bonuses. So it is what it is. This is Elemental Shamans. Azril out, and have a nice day.